So today I'm going big, very big, with chunky rhinos and dinos, cheating out enormous creatures from nowhere with a spruced up version of an old classic deck. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today it's time to dust off an old favourite and do my favourite thing in Magic, which is cheating out overly expensive creatures. Firstly though, if you'd all be so kind as to drop a like on the video and subscribe below if you haven't to not miss out on future content. Needless to say, your support for this channel is amazing. But onto this deck, and Fight Rigging is back, this time with new creatures from Thunder Junction. So cheating out creatures is the #1 thing that I like to do in Standard, and what better card than Fight Rigging? To maximise our chances of hitting big creatures, I love to pair Fight Rigging with slightly off-meta cards, this one being Thunderous Debut. It's normally an 8-cost sorcery with Bargain, and when it's casted with Bargain, you get to look at the top 20 cards of your library and put 2 creatures straight onto the battlefield. You can bargain the Fight Rigging away if this is hidden away underneath that card, so this is a fantastic strategy. What do we want to hit today? Well, we have 2 main targets: Brawlers and T-Rexes, our Rhinos and Dinos. Brawlers add counters to your ETBing creatures equal to its power and toughness, and T-Rexes are 8/8 warded 4 toxic 4 hasty trampling dinos. Just these 2 cards alone would make a 16/16 dino, but if you already have a plotted Rhino, you could potentially have 2 16/16 dinos or one 32/32 dino. It works way more often than it should. Our 2 Fight Rigging enablers today are Pugnacious Hammerskull, 3-drop 6/6s, and a new creature in Colossal Rattlewurm. It's a 4-mana 6/5, so it can be played the turn after Fight Rigging, but in our deck, we're going to play some Desert to give it flash, because this card has flash if you control a desert. We get to ambush your opponent's attackers and then use it to enable your Fight Rigging on your turn. So I've got some raccoons in the deck for some ramp, and don't discount its sorcery adventure spell, which is very relevant in this deck. Got some Haywire Mites which can be cast from your deserts on turn 1, and they help gain life and blow up opposing threats. And finally we have some Goldvein Hydras. So these are a slight nombo with Fight Rigging, but I do love this card to ramp. Even as a 2/2, your opponents won't want to attack into you as you gain X treasures when it dies, where X is its power. They help early on, they help late game, and they're a real good mana sink if your Fight Rigging strategy isn't going to plan. Got 25 lands today, and that is my mono green Fight Rigging brew. So incidentally, I've never played mono green on this channel before, and I was determined to do so this week. There are so many Fight Rigging versions out there with red or black, but I absolutely, of course, wanted to be different and give this particular deck a whirl. As with all decks at the moment, the alternatives are endless, but today I really wanted to showcase the synergy between our Rhinos and our Dinos, and I think I managed to do that. Anyway, today stay tuned until the end when I will go over the stats for this deck and any thoughts I may have. But in the meantime, sit back, relax, and see how I fare on the ladder with this little brew. Okay then, on the play, and we can't keep this hand with the T-Rex and 2 debuts in it, although we have some early plays. This hand is much better, as we'll drop the debut to the bottom of our deck here. Question is, do we play the Fight Rigging or Hammerskull on turn 3? Opponent with a tapped Scoured Barrens. Okay, so a Lifegain land. And a Veteran, a Lifegain creature, so are we up against Lifegain? If so, I feel okay playing the Hammerskull now. I feel like the removal for Lifegain, apart from Infernal Grasp, might be the Virtue. So this may be slightly risky here, but we do have a Raptor next turn if this gets destroyed. Opponent with 2 Veterans now, and Amalia. Okay, so the Hammerskull is going to survive. We can drop Fight Rigging next turn. Make some massive chunky creatures. All with Trample, hopefully. Brawler. Well, that changes things actually, because this is the play I like to play actually. We'll plot the Brawler. And I'm actually going to attack. Yeah, I'm going to attack. Couple of reasons here. You can obviously drop the opponent's life total. Surely they're not going to block. But also, having this out of the way, they might be inclined to want to leave this alone. There's no blocker here. They can attack freely. Case of the Uneaten Feast. Gain some more life. Elasil Core. Okay. So they were on 18. They're going to go all the way up to 21. We're going to need to try and find a way to get through this board, though, of the opponent. Yeah, they do attack. That's what I was kind of hoping to do, get their blockers out of the way. And now we can fire off our fight rigging. See what we've got. Well, there's a debut. All right, well, we can go for Brawler now. It's going to double the power and toughness of all our creatures. We need 2 T-Rexes here. 2 T-Rexes for an awful lot of hasty damage. There's one. There's another. All right, these are both going to be 16/16 T-Rexes. Have that opponent. What can you do here? Not a lot. They can throw their 2/2 in front of one of them, but they're still going to take 30 damage. And although they've gained a lot of life, it's nowhere near enough to help save them on this particular one. This worked out pretty nicely. It just shows how well that Brawler pre-fight rigging can really push your attack synergies here. Alright then, on the draw, 3 fight riggings and a Colossal Rattlewurm, eh? Yeah, we'll keep this. I don't think we're going to mulligan a hand with 3 fight riggings. We even get to play Pylons. Cavern of Souls isn't too bad. That's the 4th mana we will need into our little Haywire Mite. So the Mite in here, a couple of reasons. One is that just a little bit of incremental life gain. Destroying your opponent's threats that we are going to find difficult to deal with. Things like Urabrask's Forge and any annoying enchantments, but also it gets to be played with the Conduit Pylons on turn 1. Opponent with Elasil caught into Veteran, so Lifegain deck it seems. Or maybe not. Okay, well, they get in there with their 2/2. Not going to block. Could block and gain some life, but a little Mite here can get some counters here from our first fight rigging. Now, with Conduit Pylons on the battlefield, our Rattlewurm has Flash. So we can maybe steal a block if the opponent attacks willy-nilly. We can flash one out and we can block their creature, but also it has a 6 power. In a mono green deck, there isn't, I think there's just the one Hammerskull that has 6 power for 3 mana, but for 4 mana is absolutely fine because you can play it post fight rigging anyway, because you can't play them all on the same turn. But it did destroy our Mite. Not a huge issue. We gained some life there. Another fight rigging. No debut. Okay. Couple of worms and another fight rigging. We'll just take a worm, I think. We've got enough fight riggings going on here. So we can decide next turn whether we're going to go fight rigging again or we flash out this Rattlewurm in the opponent's turn to surprise them. See how this draw step goes. Okay, it's a Brawler. I keep drawing the Brawlers when I feel that I'm just about to fire off my fight rigging. A Brawler is a card you want plotted. Let's just name Antelope. I'm not going to name anything else with this. Doesn't matter against this opponent. Let's play the Brawler. Let's fight rig onto the Brawlers. Are they going to have removal with that last 2 mana they've got? We get a Hammerskull. A 12/12 Hammerskull. And then next turn, a fight rigging can really push our creatures to new heights here. I think I played this one okay. Let's get some stuff on the board. They reduce the power of my Brawler here. And they're going to attack, I guess. And I can't actually block this with the Hammerskull. I can block it with the Brawler. But nah. We should be okay with some good RNG here off our fight rigging as we find another land. So pretty much all in on this fight rigging here. We have a Boseiju if we want to take care of their case of the Uneaten Feast. And T-Rex, Brawler or Rattlewurm. Okay, not the most exciting fight riggings. No Thunderous Debuts of 3 fight riggings, which is slightly annoying when the deck is kind of built around that. But we are in a very good position, although we can't block the opponent's creatures with Downy on the board. Let's load up our Brawler here. Play a 16/16 T-Rex. Play a 12/10 Rattlewurm. Unfortunately, not everything has haste here. Opponent. Okay, so the opponent is in the tank. Whether they don't like our creatures or what, or if they've disconnected, who knows. But they've been thinking about this turn for a long time. Attacking with everything here doesn't actually kill them, I don't think. Because we can do about... Yeah, it doesn't actually kill them. But they blocked our Hammerskull with their Poisoner, but they take it anyway. Alright then, on the draw. And without a Fight Rigging, this hand's not too bad. Haywire Mite and Hammerskull. So you could put the Smuggler's Surprise in this deck as a plan B option if you don't draw the Fight Rigging, and that was certainly in my original plans. Trust me, I think that card is absolutely broken, but I am loving these cheaper green creatures like Railway Brawler, which I just think for 5 mana, I mean, you can just play it. It's just going to be a massive chunky creature. So I'm not too concerned about this, especially as we also have no removal. Again, you can add black to this deck if you absolutely wanted to as well. But I really wanted to play mono green. I've actually, in over 130 videos, never played a mono green deck, I don't think. So I really wanted to just give one a little go. Yeah, we'll just name Dinosaur here and throw down the other mites. So a couple of mites on the battlefield, not great, but the mites are going to be nice if they play a Corpses of the Lost. We can destroy that, or the Case of the Stashed Skeleton, that can go too. It is a Lord Skitter Sewer King for our opponent. Start eating from our graveyard. Trigger Tiny Bones, alright. Mini little synergy there going on as we have to mill a card and then they can eat it from the graveyard. Making some rats along the way. Now we could double block this 2-1 coming at us. I'm not really too concerned. Let's just let that go. I am going to sack one of these mites and destroy the Case of the Stashed Skeleton though. Gain some life back. Cavern of Souls is nice. So yeah, we'll just try and find a way to get all of our chunky creatures onto the battlefield. Hopefully find a Fight Rigging soon. Hammerskull here means that any Fight Riggings we can just play immediately. Forsaken Miner for our opponent. Okay, make some more rats. And they get in there with their menacing creature. So let that through again. I don't want to just lose my Haywire Mite. And Raptor. So potentially next turn with a land. We have 7 mana. We can cast our big creatures straight up. It is Geezer for our opponent. Alright, alright. Little Skeleton Lord. Opponent's doing something here. They're going wide with their mono black deck. Getting in there with their Forsaken Miner, their 3-2, and their 2-1-1 rats. Well, the 2 3-power creatures have menace, so let's block the rats. We are going down to 10. Okay, it's a Hydra. I was hoping it was going to be a land. Hydra, not so bad though. We can play this for X equals 5. Make a 5-5. Now, I do like this card. I didn't want it in too many multiples in this particular deck, as if you find it off of your Fight Rigging, it's not so great. But I like the Hydra. I even like playing Hydra on turn 2 and turn 3. But then you love playing Hydra on turn 8 or turn 9. Opponent does block with their rat. Okay. So right now, I would like the Hydra to die. But it is a 5-5, which is annoying. They're getting in there with their 3-3s. Oh, they're getting in there with their team, except for Geezer here. So what are our outs? That's what you want to think about in this situation. Our out is really Fight Rigging. Or maybe a T-Rex. I guess we don't have the land for that. But land, we can use Bramble Familiar. So land or Fight Rigging off the top would be fantastic. We'd love it if we could find a way to kill our Hydra here, but unfortunately our opponent's creature's not quite so powerful enough to do that. Maybe there was an argument to actually play the Hydra for a lesser amount there. We could have absolutely played it as a 3-3, I guess, and then we could have seen if the opponent wanted to kill it. We're going to block accordingly so we don't die, but keep us with some outs. So we go up to 3. I really just want a land off the top. It's Unlicensed Hearse. Okay, more crime synergies for our opponent. Works really nice with Geezer. I don't think I've ever beaten a deck with Geezer on the battlefield, so this is going to be interesting. This is going to be the last turn for us. So we find a land, okay. Well, this is the Raccoon's time to shine as we play Bramble Familiar for Fetch Quest. We are looking for a fight rig in which we don't have. I guess T-Rex is the... I haven't done the math here, but I'm just going to attack with everyone here. And, because we're pretty much going to die on the crackback from our opponent, so let's get in there, see where we are after this all happens. But no fight rig in there at all with this deck. We had 18 damage. I mean, they should have blocked my 6/6, but yeah, we still had them dead. That was a very close game there. Alright then, on the play. I mean, this is an interesting hand. I don't mind this one. Without fight rigging, this is kind of our plan B here with the Hydra. But we have a couple of raccoons, so maybe this is going to be a big Goldvein Hydra along the way. Yeah, I don't hate this hand for a non-fight rigging one. Thunderous Debut though, certainly pop that one away. I think that's the other kind of upside of these Conduit Pylons. Although they are enabling a flashy worm for us, they are enabling us also to pop away things like Debut, which we really aren't going to cast unless we have an awful lot of mana, and generally that will only be when one of the big Hydras die. Did draw another Debut, but 2 raccoons on the battlefield here means next turn we have 6 mana, so we can make a 5/5 Goldvein Hydra with haste and vigilance. Opponent on what looks like a Selesnya build, so I'm not sure what we're up against, but yeah. 5/5 Goldvein Hydra here, smashing our opponent. Okay, they go down to 13. Alright, we're doing a bit of damage here without any of our real strategies here. 1 land and we can drop a T-Rex next turn. Ossification, presumably our 5/5, fair enough. But we still 1 land and that would have been a T-Rex. Okay, Brawler. Okay, I mean, that is interesting. We could play a Brawler, but presumably the opponent might have another Ossification. Let's just plot this Brawler. So next turn a land is a 16/16 T-Rex. Opponent with Hallowed Haunting, okay. Hydra does it. We can play the Brawler here, and then we can drop the Hydra again. The second copy in the deck as a 5/5 Hydra, which will turn to a 10/10 Hydra with haste. So yeah, can't believe we won that with some Hydras and Railway Brawlers. These cards are crazy. Alright then, on the draw, 2 fight riggins. Okay, we'll keep it for science, but we really need some earlier threats. Opponent with a Kumano, okay. We are going to get wrecked here, aren't we? What does the Pylons find? It finds another Hulking Raptor. A fantastic card, but are we even going to have a turn 4 play? Are we going to have turn 4 to play that? We need the opponent here on their, what looks like a mono red build so far, to slow down a second. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, there's our Hammerskull. So we have our game plan assembled here. Really would love to have found a Haywire Mite up until this point. But we could be dead right now, I presume. Yeah, mono red, not our best matchup. Nowhere near our best matchup. Even if we had some removal, they've got way too much coming at us so quickly. We just got to hope that they brick a little bit. But we do have a Hammerskull into fight rigging, so we can win the game potentially in one real big swing. But having Menace on the Etching of Kumano here is going to be a problem. They have Antagonize as well. Fair enough, we go down to 3. Not many decks without specific removal would have been able to deal with this, especially slower, janky style, sort of synergistic combo decks like R1. It's just not going to be our matchup here. Opponent with a Kumano. They have lethal if they just attack with the Etching, which they do, and I will take that loss. And you get to see how bad our deck is against something like mono red. Alright then, on the play, and you've got to like this hand. We have even a turn 1 play with the Pylons. Lovely way to surveil, and a Brawler on top is fantastic. Okay, we'll see how this one goes. Put it with Undercity Sewers, sure. If they're playing blue-black, we could do with a Cavern of Souls along the way. We'll play another Pylons here. Hydra, okay. I don't hate that card. It always gives you something to do, I feel. But our plan is still to go Fight Rigging into Hammerskull. But Hydra isn't too bad. Meticulous Archive tapped. Alright, so because of this, we need to drop Fight Rig in here. Not only will it get an extra power onto the Mite. Unfortunately, no debut here. We'll take a Raptor. If they're playing counter magic, we might be able to find a Cavern of Souls, so they can't counter our creatures. But they could just be holding open removal. It's Sunset Revelry. Okay, so we find a T-Rex. Sure. Well, we'll go Hammerskull, and we'll Fight Rig onto Hammerskull, and we'll get a Hulking Raptor onto the battlefield. So we have a fair bit of mana now. Hopefully they leave my 5/3 alone. No, it's go for the throat. Fair enough. So Fight Rigging is definitely an RNG kind of deck. There is a debut, which is pretty bad when it's actually in your hand. We'll just drop a smallish Hydra here. And I'm going to tap with everyone here. So this is 12 damage coming through. But I really love Fight Rigging. I just love any deck that enables you to cheat out creatures. These aren't good by any sort of stretch of the imagination, but this is, for me, a janky little deck, but it enables you to play big spells that you might not always play. And look at our hand. 2 7-drops, an 8-drop, and a 5-drop. I mean, how many times can you cast all of that in one game? Fight Rigging enables you to play those cards. Put it with a Faithful Absence on our Mite. They did play Collector's Vault, so that must be their game plan here. Protect the Collector's Vault at all times. We'll get in there with the Hydra, and we'll drop another Hammerskull. So we're threatening lethal next turn. Really, without us doing our strategies at all. Collector's Vault. Are we going to die? Are we going to see a massive chunky Atraxa or something? Who knows? Who knows? They're definitely up to some shenanigans over there. I'd love it if they killed my Hydra. Witness for the future to put 4 cards back into their library and to draw a card. So, did they find a removal spell? Potentially. We are stuck on three mana here, and we've had some scries, so we'll keep piling onto the Hydra here in case they want to kill it. Fateful Absence are 7/7. Sure, they're still going to go down to 6 here. And we're just smashing our way to victory. Let's draw to see if we can find a land. Okay, Pylons. Actually not the worst lands. We get to surveil into another land. That means next turn we could play the Brawler, but we can always plot the Brawler next turn anyway. Looking for maybe another Fight Rigging. Collector's Vault to discard and draw. Discarding a land. Okay, that's not too bad. Quick Study to draw 2 cards. What are they digging for? Who knows, because they scoop it up anyway. Okay, so let's check the stats for this deck over on untapped.gg, and as you can see, we went 5-1. So a couple of games were pretty boring, so I added some bonus footage from testing, and I really wanted to show how the deck performed against mono red, as I never faced that whilst recording. Here are my stats though for this particular deck. This is a fun janky brew though, so only play this if you have the cards. I don't want you to be crafting cards for this, but if you want to play some big creatures for barely any cost, then this thing could be for you. If I could do just one thing in Magic, it would always be cheating out some chunky creatures for next to no mana. The new creatures are great from Thunder Junction, just like the Brawler, but it seemed to be that the T-Rex was the one that stole the show in the end. This little combo though between the Brawler and T-Rex is pretty sweet if you manage to get that going. So I do like to play Fight Rigging in at least one deck in each set, but sadly this is probably going to be its last outing, as this card is going to rotate in the summer. If though anyone has any janky brews with Fight Rigging in it, I would love to see them, and they may get a surprise appearance later on in the season. To check out the stats for this video and all the decks I play, the link to my untapped.gg is listed in the description, and that's where you'll also find a link to download the deck tracker for yourself. You'll get to track your stats, see what decks are being played, and maybe find a deck or two that you can make with your collection. It's all over there on untapped.gg. Thank you for watching this video, supporting the channel as we grow, and I will catch you again in the next video.